Alright, y'all. We all know there's no love lost between Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and Ryan Reynolds. This feud has been simmering for months, maybe even years, long enough that whenever these three cross paths, the headlines practically write themselves. But in the latest turn of events, things just went from simmer to full boil. Candace Owens has jumped headfirst into this bonfire, claiming she's got receipts that could flip the entire narrative on its head. Apparently, it involves hush-hush HR complaints, conveniently timed legal filings, and a New York Times article that might have been orchestrated behind the scenes by none other than Ms. Lively. Now, we're used to drama between these three. Blake wants to guard her squeaky clean image. Ryan is known for defending his wife through thick and thin, and Justin has been trying to keep his creative projects afloat despite all the mud being slung. But this time, the gossip swirling around them is so juicy it's practically dripping from the tabloids. According to Owens, a web of shady behavior has been carefully spun to ruin Justin's name and prop Blake up as a victim in need of public sympathy. And the alleged evidence? We're talking heavily redacted HR documents, suspicious metadata, and tabloids that wouldn't touch the story with a 10-foot pole. So you might be thinking, haven't they all battled enough? Can it really get any nastier? Oh, honey, buckle up. By the end of this, you'll be wondering if Blake pulled an expert PR move, if Justin is a target of a cunning smear campaign, or if Ryan's comedic persona is just a cover for some behind-the-scenes maneuvering. Let's peel back the layers and see how deep this Hollywood meltdown goes. We all know Hollywood's full of behind-the-scenes puppet masters. It's not just about filming movies. It's about spinning narratives, courting tabloids, and making sure the public sees the story you want them to see. Blake Lively may have her wholesome social media persona, unofficial style icon, loving mom, and all that jazz, but rumor says she's not afraid to unleash a serious PR blitz if it means protecting that image. And let's be real, after months of whisper campaigns painting Justin Baldoni as a troublemaker, the tension between them is about as subtle as a neon sign. Candace Owens recently claimed that Blake's camp had a plan mapped out to discredit Justin before he could defend himself. The so-called strategy? File a lawsuit against Justin for alleged misconduct, then have a high-profile media outlet drop a detailed expose within 24 hours. That kind of instantaneous coverage usually doesn't happen by accident, especially if we're talking about the New York Times. They typically fact-check, consult their legal team, and gather multiple sources. For them to publish in what feels like a blink suggests there might have been a heads-up from Lively's corner well before the ink dried on any formal complaint. Now, that's not to say celebrities never feed information to big outlets. It happens all the time. But Candace Owens insists the timing here was suspiciously perfect. Anyone who has followed the long-standing friction knows that Justin has been at odds with Blake and Ryan for ages, especially after rumors floated about creative clashes on the set of It Ends With Us. So, a meticulously timed hit piece on Justin? It's the kind of move you'd expect if you wanted to push him off balance when he's least prepared. Candace Owens is no stranger to ruffling feathers. She's built a massive following by calling out high-profile figures, and she loves to dive into controversies where few others dare to go. But why zero in on this particular feud? According to Owens, she stumbled on metadata from the New York Times article that heavily suggested prior coordination between the publication and Blake's team. Owens wasted no time in labeling the entire piece as setup, meant to depict Justin as some shady character who needed calling out. Let's remember, though, Candace can be polarizing. Detractors claim she's just capitalizing on a hot scandal, using the big names of Blake, Justin, and Ryan to keep herself in the limelight. However, Owens has released what she calls concrete evidence of fishy timing, combined with a pattern of behind-the-scenes deals. She also points out that multiple tabloid powerhouses, think TMZ or the Daily Mail, refused to run the story about these HR complaints, presumably because the evidence was too flimsy or redacted to pass muster. So why would those outlets turn away from a story guaranteed to generate clicks? That's the multi-million-dollar question. Owens suggests it's because the complaints didn't hold up under scrutiny. If the tabloids thought the accusations were bulletproof, they'd have published them in an instant. Instead, they took a hard pass. And that, dear viewers, might be the biggest red flag of all. Even the tabloids, never known for discretion, didn't want to risk a defamation suit over questionable documents tied to the long-standing friction among these three Hollywood players. We gotta talk about these mysterious HR complaints that allegedly implicate Justin. If you've been following the animosity, you know Blake and Justin have been circling each other in courtrooms and on social media for a while. But these documents take the cake. They feature entire lines and paragraphs blacked out with crucial info, like dates, names, or specific incidents, completely scrubbed. Supposedly, they came from people who worked on It Ends With Us, but verifying that is nearly impossible when half the text is hidden. Candace Owens claims these complaints were shopped around to multiple news outlets, with Blake or Ryan's team possibly fronting the cost or offering exclusive scoops. Still, big outlets said no. Why? Because none of them wanted to risk printing unsubstantiated claims that could invite a fat lawsuit from Justin, who's been quick to defend himself in the past. Even fans who were inclined to side with Blake started asking questions once they saw how little detail was left in these HR forms. One example had a name blacked out, a date missing, and an entire chunk describing the inappropriate behavior replaced by big black bars. For a claim to stand in legal territory, you usually need specifics: who was harassed, where, how, and when. Without that, it's just hearsay. And given the long-standing tension between Justin and the Lively Reynolds clan, the timing looked less like a victim seeking justice and more like a strategic chess move to corner Justin. If the complaints are legit, they're overshadowed by the bizarre secrecy. And if they're not, well, it might be the PR fiasco of the year. Let's not pretend Ryan Reynolds is a bystander here. We've all heard the rumors that he's no stranger to stepping into the ring to protect Blake whenever her image is under threat. He spent years building a brand as a lovable jokester, but behind those one-liners, there might be a very strategic mind at work. Considering that the Reynolds Lively camp has clashed with Justin over creative decisions and personal drama for ages, it wouldn't be shocking if Ryan was pulling levers behind the curtain. Owens and other commentators have hinted that Ryan might be the one who encouraged Blake to get aggressive with these new allegations. After all, if Justin's career skyrockets, that's a direct blow to whatever dominance or control the Reynolds-Lively duo might have over certain projects or public favor. They've got a brand to maintain as Hollywood's golden couple. If their longtime feud with Justin started swinging in Justin's favor, that wouldn't look too cute for them. Officially, Ryan said almost nothing about the latest spat, which is telling in itself. He's usually vocal, cracking jokes on Twitter or doing comedic PR stunts. But silence can be just as revealing. By staying mum, he keeps attention on Blake's claims while avoiding any direct confrontation that could backfire if new evidence emerges. After all, if Justin's name is cleared, Ryan wouldn't want the spotlight shining on his own behind-the-scenes meddling. Sometimes the best PR move is to let the rumor mill churn and keep your hands clean, especially when you're dealing with old enemies who've been at odds for so long. In the midst of all these allegations, Justin didn't just hole up and hope the drama passed. He came out swinging with a massive defamation lawsuit against the New York Times, claiming they either got duped by Blake or knowingly ran a hit piece that misrepresented the facts. He's seeking a hefty sum. Rumor says around $250 million, arguing that the article's timing and content torpedoed his reputation at a key moment in his career. Given the feud he's had with Blake and Ryan, it's no surprise he's fighting back aggressively. Defamation suits aren't easy to win, though. Justin must prove the Times acted with actual malice or a reckless disregard for the truth, which can be an uphill battle when dealing with a respected publication. But if Candace Owens' metadata analysis holds water, it might show that the Times was working off a script fed to them by Blake's team even before the official complaints were filed. That would be a smoking gun, the kind that could transform a long-brewing Hollywood spat into a court spectacle on par with the biggest celebrity trials. Some folks wonder if Justin's suit is more about making a statement than actually winning. Even if he doesn't walk away with millions, the discovery phase could be invaluable. It forces the Times and possibly Blake's camp to turn over communications, emails, and drafts that might expose who planned what. If texts or emails prove that the story was locked in before Justin even got a chance to comment, that would demolish the Lively Reynolds narrative. And considering all the old bad blood, you can bet Justin would relish that victory. Let's not forget the rumors about Jenny Slate and Isabella Ferrer being linked to these HR complaints, or another unnamed actress who may or may not exist. The saga goes that 2 other women stepped up to accuse Justin of inappropriate behavior, but the documents are so heavily redacted, we don't even know which woman said what. Jenny publicly hinted at supporting Blake, then went radio silent when everything exploded. Isabella allegedly praised Justin in an older interview, contradicting the idea that he was some terror on set. Fans in the know have followed these tensions for a while. They saw how each side postured on social media. They recall the petty shade thrown at red carpet events, the cryptic tweets, and the rumors that Jenny and Isabella felt torn about siding with Blake or staying out of it. Now that the HR complaints have been weaponized, people wonder, were these ladies coaxed into backing Blake's version of events to corner Justin, or did they truly feel wronged? It's possible that legitimate grievances are getting drowned out by sensational coverage. But the gag is, if there was a real pattern of harassment, you'd think they'd come out swinging with a detailed timeline, not blacked out pages. The secrecy feeds skepticism. Meanwhile, Justin supporters say these complaints popped up at the perfect moment to bolster Blake's storyline, right when a sympathetic narrative would do maximum damage to Justin's film prospects. If you've been following the tension among these three, you'll know it's exactly the kind of chess move that might force him to play defense instead of focusing on his career. At this point, everyone's waiting for that one piece of undeniable evidence that either proves Blake's camp told the truth or reveals a full-blown setup. Maybe it's an internal email, a text message, or an unredacted HR document that clarifies who said what and when. Candace Owens has teased more exposures in the pipeline, fueling speculation that she's got something big she's holding back. If she releases a bombshell, like a screenshot showing Lively's team shopping fabricated stories, this feud could transform into the biggest Hollywood meltdown we've seen in years. At the same time, we can't ignore that lawsuits are pending. Lawyers on every side are jockeying for position, and the discovery process could produce all sorts of surprises. If the Times or Blake's team is forced to cough up digital footprints, we might see a completely different side of events. Maybe Justin's legal strategy is to push for maximum transparency, knowing that cracks could appear in Blake's story once the bright courtroom lights come on. Of course, there's the cynical perspective, too. Some believe all three are fueling the drama on purpose to keep their names relevant. Public spats do attract attention, and attention often leads to offers, social media traction, and brand deals. For a trio that's been at odds for so long, maybe they've learned how to benefit from their feud. But if anyone stepped over a legal line, fabricating or exaggerating harassment claims, this is no longer a petty disagreement. That's a serious matter, particularly in the era of #MeToo, where false accusations can damage real victims' credibility. So where does that leave us? We have Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, longtime foes of Justin Baldoni, caught in a storm of allegations involving hush-hush HR complaints and suspicious news coverage. We have Candace Owens rattling everyone's cage, insisting she's uncovered proof that Lively staged a sob story to sink Justin's reputation once and for all. And we've got Justin firing back with a massive lawsuit demanding accountability for what he calls a total hit job. This trifecta has been beefing forever, but this might be their biggest showdown yet. Everything hinges on whether the HR documents can be substantiated, whether the Times article was truly pre-planned, and whether Ryan quietly orchestrated any of this drama in the background. If new evidence emerges, especially in a courtroom setting, it could shift public opinion overnight. Blake's Golden Girl brand might topple, or Justin's defamation suit might fall flat. We just don't know yet, because the real story is so wrapped in secrecy and spin. In the end, it's a stark reminder that Hollywood thrives on glitz, but also on illusions. What looks like an open-end shut case could be a cunning act of misdirection. So until the next bombshell drops, or until a judge forces one side to come clean, take every rumor with a grain of salt. Somebody here is definitely spinning the tale, but who's playing puppet master depends on which receipts finally see the light of day. Thanks for supporting the Gossip Wire. If you made it this far in the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more of the hottest celebrity news online.